Hello. I think it's best to start with prayer. So my friend Susan is going to pray us in.
Lord, we thank you for bringing us all here in this just beautiful day outside. We thank you for your servant Terri that is here to share with us all of her wisdom you just poured into her and just her experiences. And we just thank you, Lord, for Terri and that she does her craft to serve you. And we just pray that you will pour just your spirit over us, your peace over us, and let us just have ears to hear what Terri says, and just bless you in all that we do, and just thank you for our time together, Lord. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Okay, so I'm starting out with what do you want to be? And as we think about our careers, you got to start further back. Where are you in your faith walk, and who are you in Christ? I think it's really good to get this firm and grounded before you get into the industry, because your faith will be tested. So let's see here. Okay. So as we go along, feel free to kind of fill it in, and then at the end we'll loop back. And if you want to, we can answer questions then. Okay. So, sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. This is my second time to be speaking. Oh, let's see here. Okay, there's many ways that you can figure out your path. And you can do like focused, which is when you know what department you want to be in. And then there's also like when you're searching to figure it out, then you can study in a couple different departments. And then there's also the category that's kind of more like a hobby, if you just want to get started and be a part of things and just volunteer your time. Okay, so what have you done about it so far? Like, how do you do your research? And let's see here. Like, have you looked at other people's resumes? Have you started following people that are doing the same thing you're doing? And the next, moving down, like, what are you willing to do? As you think about this and plan your path, are you willing to move? Are you ready to possibly leave your family, move to a different state? What are the sacrifices? And a lot of people don't realize this industry will take up a lot of time. And that's why I think it's so good to be grounded in your faith, because if you have structure like Bible studies and prayer times, it's good to have all of that in balance before you get started, because this career, this type of field is very demanding. Like 16-hour days is definitely something that could be a part of your life. And then as you start to figure out what you're doing, you need to pick role models, people that you not only appreciate their art, but what do you know about them? Are they walking the same way? Are they involved with the same things that you would be proud of? And when I started out, I just was in the secular, I worked a lot of secular and then also faith-based. But when it comes to role models, I think it's best to focus on people that you would respect inside work, outside of work. Okay, so be thinking about your role models and write them down. If you don't have any role models, then that's something you need to start thinking about and looking into. Who has done this before you? Who do you want to get to know? Places like this are perfect for that. So you can team up. Okay. How do you do research? There's so many different avenues. Here, let me. There's so many different avenues, and one is one that I think we all like, and that's just watch as many movies as possible, watch faith-based projects, even secular projects. But I do believe in the theory of garbage in, garbage out. So if you're filling your head with things you shouldn't be watching, that's not good research. That's not growing you in the direction that you need to be going. So in my process, I decided I wanted to focus on faith-based film after being in the industry quite a while. So I started watching all the faith-based movies. I started figuring out who was involved with these movies. Who are the writers? Who are the directors? Who are the producers? And I'm a costume designer, so I also started researching who were the other costume designers. And with that, in the second part of my career, I was able to get those role models because I didn't have them in the beginning. And most of you, I'm guessing, have seen Jesus Revolution. And if you haven't, see it. That costume designer is a good friend of mine. And she was, in my career that I had been in for quite a while, when I went to lunch with her, I thought, oh my gosh, I want to be like this person. Not only in what she does and being so good at her craft, because she is, but what she represented. And so role models are really important. Research, like I watched faith-based movies. After you start to learn the who's who's the production companies, who are the producers, I would hop over to IMDb, check things out, check who's who, start doing that research, and then I would you can hop over to Instagram, you can hop over to Facebook, find these people, start relationships, learn, and find mentors that way. You can do your research that way. Now, many people are like, oh, I want this, or I want that, or I want to get started, but is your resume ready? Do you know what an industry resume looks like? And for actors, this is headshots. Are you ready to go? Do you know what's on there, what's needed? In the beginning of your career, it's going to be mixed. You might have things that might help out. Well, I did this for a church, or I did this for a play, and you're going to have different tasks. But I did bring one of my resumes that we can pass around, or a couple of those, so you can kind of look at an industry one. I also think it would be a good homework project if each of you would want to send me your resume, just so I can look it over, maybe give you tips and help you out. I think it would be great if I could see some resumes by the end of this week. Okay. And then, as I was saying, I'll show you my resume. That'll give you an idea. And of course, there's probably multiple ways to do it, but I think it's helpful to kind of see what other people are doing so you're not recreating the wheel. Okay. And are you interested in secular, or faith-based, or both? And are you guys filling these out? I mean, this is for you. This is your information. I say that you need to know your faith walk, and that you will be tested. So I work a lot in secular, and you have to stay prayed up. And I believe in putting on your armor, and I have a slide coming up about that, but you have to prepare yourself so much in secular because you're the example. You are the example. How well you do your job is only maybe half of it. You're the light, you're the example. When there's conflict, you have to be the example. So I encourage everyone in some of those moments and in secular to always be prayed up. I can't tell you how many times I call my mom on the way to work. And I'm like, could you pray for this, pray for this, pray for that, pray for this day. Stay prayed up. And I can understand if you want to go into secular, but I would definitely encourage you to think about it quite a bit. It's a very, it tests, but it also gives us a chance to reach people that may not be on the same path as us. Awareness, who are you learning from? Who are your examples? It's easy, like I've even been told that there were times when I said something a certain way and I was told later, hey, that kind of sounds like the way the world would say that, or the way that you learn that in secular. So we have to make sure when we're taking stuff in, what comes back out, are we doing that the way Christ would, the way that we should be? Are we reacting? Are we helping? Okay. And then, how are you investing in yourself? One of the things that I do that is an investment is go to these festivals. I count them as very much my vacation, but it's also how I invest in myself. And for people coming in, new people and young people and people with their second career, this is how you prove that you're serious. You know, what are you doing to advance? So everyone in here is already in a good place, in a good start. Okay. So there's the armor. It'd be good to memorize it. Sometimes I put my armor on in my car. Okay, so we're going to move on to talking about the value of interning. Some of you might be further in your path or on your path or have been doing this for years, but a good way to look at it is free education. I had an intern that told me, I get to go to graduate school for free. And I thought, that is brilliant. It's brilliant. You get to be educated for free. And if you give 100%, because you have to be careful with internships, because if you get in there and you're not sure you like it and you don't give 100%, it's not going to lead to a job. But when you work hard and you give 100%, you'll probably never have to intern for that person again. And it's not going to guarantee you a job with that person, but it could. And it could gain references, and you have another line on your resume. It's going to get you going. Staying in your lane. When you're interning, this is a great place to learn what the responsibilities are for the position you have, the positions above you, so you can be helpful and jump in, but within the department. So it's kind of like learning the rules. And finding your lane and staying in your lane, that's pretty much all the same thing, but interning gives you the great opportunity to learn those things without being in a pressured environment where you're expected to already know them. As for a directed study, Like I teach costumes, so if someone's working for me, they get to have a focused training. The different programs we use and the different etiquette. In interning, the pressure is off. So it's just a chance to learn. And again, that would be an investment, a worthwhile investment in yourself and what you're doing. And also with interning, it gives you a chance to figure out, oh, I don't think I like our department. I don't think it's for me. You learned, you move on, you can try something else. And I said it's better than getting your foot in the door because I think it's a little bit more focused, and a lot of people want to get involved, but say for instance, you want to get your foot in the door and you end up saying, I'll do crafty. So you're doing craft services, you get known for doing craft services, and then you do 5 movies that way, but you haven't invested in learning your craft. And now you're known, now you're getting lots of jobs, but you haven't furthered your education on your focus. So those things are good, especially if you're figuring it out to go anywhere that you're needed. But if you want to focus, I think that interning gets your foot in the right door. Okay, so let's move along. Okay, let's see. I just want to touch on, because this is about breaking in and breakthrough, I want to touch on some of the things that we need to be careful of not doing. Because a lot of times, especially in faith-based, we tend to not want conflict, and we don't want to, we just don't like conflict. We want it to be good. We want it to be a good process. So, number one, when things go wrong and people make mistakes, because we all do, number one, I would pull over and pray about it. But we need to be good about going directly to the person so these things don't get woven in and people misunderstand and then they don't get along. So always confront the person you need to be dealing with. And if there is a concern or something that's a little bit bigger than that, you can always go to a supervisor. There's always someone to talk to. And within your department, if there are challenges, I like to think of things as challenges, not problems. You always try to solve them within your department. So whatever that is, try to solve within first. And this is something I think really is important, especially with young people coming in. You will make mistakes. There will be accidents. There will be bad decisions. And it's really easy when you're new to think, oh my goodness, this is so big and this is so bad and I failed and make it about that. It's not about that. It is always about the solution. So, admit it, that's fine. As soon as you admit it, then we can fix it. And as hard as it is when you're standing in your failure, be a part of the solution. How can I help? How can I make this better? And I will tell you that people that are like that work for me, that's the part I remember. I remember they worked so hard, so fast to go get that, to go fix that. Oh, we totally got that taken care of before we ever got to filming. So you can still shine in your mistakes. But always, always, even go against your own nature to be swallowed up into I messed up, to about the solution. And then I also think, take the time, WWJD, what would Jesus do? Because we can get so wound up in the emotions and that part of it that we're like, don't make it about yourself. What would Jesus do? Jesus would take the time to teach people, to correct people gently, and to make sure that they understand. I mean, even with the parables in the Bible, that was so people could understand. And sometimes he even had to explain them to the disciples, which are also such a good example of regular people being picked to do extraordinary things. Okay, so I'm going to circle back. Let's see. I think I'm going to go back to the front and see if people have questions or want to comment. Okay. Okay. So, who would want to share about what you want to be? You want to be an actor. Okay. Stunt actor. That's amazing. We don't have any classes for that yet. Okay, so who else wants to share? What are you going to be? What do you want to be? Where are you headed? An actor. Okay. So, what is your next step? Okay. Oh. Oh, yes. I had asked, what do you want to be? And he wanted to be an actor. He wanted to be stunts. We got that. Okay. So, what have you done about it? Does someone else want to talk about your next steps? Okay. So, I want to use an example. Miss Rebecca over here, she worked for me, and I put her in as a supervisor. So she learned all of our programs, and she neighbored up with somebody that knew more than she did about the particular programs, and absorbed, learned, and then she was like, I got this. And she did a fantastic job. Okay, so. Sorry, guys, I guess I went a little fast on this. Do you feel like you have role models in place? Yes? Okay, I see a lot of people shaking no. So it's a part of growing, know who to look up to. Okay. Go ahead.
God put me in a position about 3 years ago.
Do you want to stand up just so we can hear you? Thank you.
He put me in a position at some point 2 years ago. I went with my cousin to, she had a screenplay, and I just went there for support for her. It was content at the firm, and I was just there. I walked her in like this while she was taking her classes. She had paid all day, and I had no idea what she was paid for. But at some point in that week, I was invited to be
Okay, thank you. When I was doing research on who did what movies and who was involved with what, I had found that Anna Redmond, that costume designer, and got in contact with her. And then we met one day, and she wanted to help me. She wanted to help my path. And through that, she helped me get involved with some producers. And before you know it, I got to do Courageous Legacy with the Kendricks. So I was introduced to them. And that just brought in the most amazing people in my life, and they are the people that I do life with now. It's more than a job. It's more than a career. It's more than just a career path. It's a life path. It's the people you end up with. And I was also directly after that, I got to do family camp. And one thing that you really will notice that's very different about the faith-based industry is prayer warriors, and when they have a chaplain on site. When you have people praying over the project, you can feel it. You can definitely feel it. And you have people to turn to. Also, when you're facing any type of conflict, there's also people to pray for you. Like, you can pull over and there are people there for you. And we had a chaplain on our family camp film that was just absolutely great. And then on the Kendricks film, we had prayer warriors. And it's not just said that they're there. Like, they're at the set praying, they're at lunch praying, and it's just an incredible, incredible atmosphere. Okay. Yes? Oh. Yes. So the question is that the same as raising a support group like as missionaries? Right? Yeah, I think it absolutely is. It absolutely is, because this is our ministry. And so yeah, definitely. And I have been so incredibly blessed with that support group that when I go and do my secular projects, I'll send them all, like, whatever's on my heart, what I'm worried about, and just to know that they're there.
When you're talking about role models, I've always heard that in like the artistic side of things, how you should look at like who the greats are, what they've done, that writing sort of thing. But it sounds like you're talking way more about who's working now, who are the people who can actually relate with you, as opposed to like these greats who might be dead, might be gone. You never know. I think that's really interesting, and I wonder what you thought about that, about how important it is that if you're looking at people that maybe are secular, who you're looking at their art as something to aspire to, but you're talking about something completely different.
Well, okay, so your question is, what I'm getting from your question is you're saying, is this about picking role models that are relatable more than out of your reach?
I guess I'm more on the relational front. You're putting them on how they are to relate with, as opposed to looking at their art and like, oh, I aspire to be great like them, or to make content like they make. Because I've always heard it that way. When you're looking at role models, look at what the greats have done.
So am I talking about looking at what the greats have done? I think it's a combination. It's a combination, because great to me is a role model that's walking the walk and also, you know, good at their art, good at what they're doing. So it's more of a package deal, but I definitely think that a role model needs to be reachable, a person that's actually in your life. And that's why I think festivals like this are so great, because you can go up to that person and talk to them. Because we kind of did, I skipped over like what are the projects that you're looking at, what are your 2 top projects that follow people that have done what you want to do. I think it's important for that to be a combination, because we do not want to follow the way the world does it. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So I'm primarily acting, but I'm also interested in learning something new too, so I can get in on that side as well. So I just want to be like a generic set PA, and I'll be on those sets in an extra, and I'll ask comedians how they got the role, and they're like, "Oh, we don't know anything. We just knew the person running this." And I'll be like, "Oh, okay." And then I'll know somebody running something, and I say, "Can I be a PA?" They'll be like, "Sure, send me your resume." So I'm like, to me, it's a bit of a catch-22 as far as landing like that first PA job. So I didn't know if you had any like
So
about that.
is your question how? How do I get that first PA job?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Again, like even through my own journey, I literally watch the movie, watch the credits, write everybody down, jump over to IMDb, see who they are, and find a way to connect to them. But a lot of it is kind of like that. You just need to get involved with somebody that's involved with it. Especially if you're a PA and you just want to help and you want to figure it out. I mean, so many productions need hands. They need hands, more hands. And there's plenty of people around that have been on sets, so get to know people. Go ahead.
So when you talk about interning and the value of internship, but then also not being your foot in the door, when she was talking about something you talked about that. So how do you, is it based on what is available at the time, and then you build your resume off of that? Can you have like 3 tabs that are equal opportunity?
I'm trying to state your question. Can you tell me just the main, and I'll restate that.
Okay. You have an internship, you have the just getting on set, like we were talking about earlier, and then you have something else that you would really want to do. How do you choose between those 3 when it's they're both all 3 have equal opportunity at the moment? Which one do you decide?
Okay, so how to pick between having a focused line, or how to just get involved, or I think, okay, so basically it depends on you. If you like, I'm a costume designer, so my focus would always be costumes. So if you're doing a focus and you know what you want to be, then I would say just get involved with those people, find out where their jobs are, do your internships there. Now, if you just want to be a part of film, then you just can ask, do you need PAs? How do you need people? Can I do crafty? It's just about getting involved. But I think if you want to grow in your particular field quickly, I would encourage you to study under someone that can teach you. Okay.
So I'm actually not interested in film, but I'm interested in inventing, and I have no earthly idea of what to do or where to put my foot or where to turn. But do you have any suggestions of where to start?
For what?
Inventing.
Inventing?
Yes, ma'am.
That's tricky. How to get started at inventing. Um, I think that would be more a business avenue because you'd need to know how to attack it and also a lot of research. Was there something in particular?
No, I think that answers it. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm not more helpful with that one.
Does he have a specialty that he
He said no.
Oh,
Okay. Any, oh,
How did you get started? Did you have a degree? Did you kind of jump in? I kind of brought a group of high schoolers, so
okay.
just kind of wondering how much weight you put on, that further education versus did you just jump right in?
Okay. Um, what is my background was the question, right? When it comes to education. I have an undergrad in fashion merchandising with an emphasis in international marketing and advertising. It's been so long ago. So that gave me business sense. I can do breakdowns, I can do budgets, I can think with that side of my brain. And then I took graduate school for costume design, and that I did as a directed study for a year. The undergrad, I think that is amazing because it gave me a lot of tools on how to run things, how to manage things, and to do the business side. And I worked as an in-house stylist for an advertising agency for a while, so all of that was good. And then the costume design, when I did that, it really hit me what I want to do. So in the searching to figure out what I wanted to do, higher education is great because I got to learn and know. And like one of my classes, you had to pick out a drawing, and then after you picked it out, we had to make it. No rules. And that's when I knew I loved what I do, to be able to create like that. So I do think education's very important. I won't define what that is or what that needs to be. Maybe it's hands-on, maybe it's the internship, maybe it's college. I do think with actors, I would not go so far to think that you have 100% natural ability. I think acting classes are really, really important. All the people that I know have been in acting classes and have been in acting classes with amazing people. You always want to be studying your art, I feel like. So I definitely think it's important. But maybe your route is interning, so exposure is good. Anyone else?
So I have one kind of specific to what you do. When you have an actor who has an allergic reaction to the type of clothing they're wearing, do you have to get education on the chemical makeup of those fabrics so that you can know what to replace it with, or is it just experiment?
The question was, what do we do if an actor has a reaction to clothing, and did I have to study about those things and how to replace things? No, you don't have to, but yes, I did. So I have studied, I took costume construction, so I learned about all the kinds of fabrics, how they melt, what they do when they're on fire, those type of things. But when you are on a show, it's an individual show every time. So it's just about removing that and just starting over with someone. When I do secular stuff, I do a lot of really big background stuff. So when we can, we have a questionnaire and we do their measurements, and part of my questions are you allergic to any fabrics or metals? So you can at least be prepared for that. Okay. And then if anyone has any questions like that about costumes or anything about a department, like what programs I use, I can also be available for questions later on. Go ahead.
You said you've tested on sets. Do you have any specific stories that you're comfortable sharing about when you tested and the outcome?
Yes, yes. I had a boss that it was very important for him to be the boss. And I consider myself a leader, not a boss. And I was, okay, so when you're on set and you're getting background ready, I do costumes, so we're getting everybody ready. And then I have set costumers that go to set. So they were needing to leave shortly to go to set, and I was staying behind to get rid of, to get all the BG ready. And I said to the set costumers that I was like, hey, I don't have to leave, and you guys need to eat breakfast. Why don't you go and have breakfast first? My thought and my heart was to make sure that everybody got to eat. That's just who I am. And my boss came around the corner and he said that, he's like, why were you telling people what to do? And you're not in the position to be telling anyone what to do. And he was yelling at me in front of all the background. I was trying to get dressed. And I had to just be humble in that situation. I knew my heart and I knew what I was doing and what I was trying to do. But I didn't let it cause an argument. I didn't let it cause a problem. And that was a test on who I am. And so I would say that was one of the tests. And dealing with that person, they told me, I'm working with that person again now. I took off to come here. And he told me, he said, I've gotten used to you, but in the beginning, I was really worried you were trying to make me look bad. And I was like, I would never do that. What I'm actually trying to do is make you look good. And I always will think of the team. And I will always try to put them in a good place. Like, I would never, but the world had given me this very broken person for a boss that was concerned, like that he couldn't trust people. So I needed to be steady and an example and not ever get into conflict and argue. Sorry.
What did you say to him to ease the situation where he could trust you like that?
Well, it was just consistency. It was consistency because when he was yelling at me that particular time, I just kept stepping back and stepping back and stepping back until I stepped into the trailer. And then when we weren't in front of people, he calmed down a little bit. And then it's so easy. We want to defend ourselves. But it's really your actions will speak. And this is my third project with that person. And he knows. I'm just trying to do what's best at all times. But it took consistency and me not raising my voice and just coming back the next day and treating him the same. So. It was a trial. And when it comes to secular stuff, there's just a lot going on. I work for a costume designer that I was up for the job and they text me and I was like, okay, these are my questions. Am I gonna get car allowance? Am I gonna get my cell phone paid for? Is my computer covered? Just questions like that. And they were like, yeah, we'll work that out. And then a couple days later, after I got the job, I texted, I said, hey, who's the costume designer? And then they told me, and I know this person, and they do not have a good reputation. And so I just was like, okay, I'm gonna take a step back and just, how do I feel about this? Do I wanna work for this person? And then the text that came in after that, this is a supervisor that's texting me. So the top person is the costume designer and then the supervisor, and I would come in to do background. And so she texted me the designer, and I waited. And then she texted me like 5 minutes later. She's like, oh, she's much nicer now. She's much nicer. And, I think it'll be okay. And you're just going to come in and help us part-time. So how bad could you? She literally wrote, "How bad could you screw it up in 3 weeks?" So this particular designer did have to take anger management classes. So there's a lot out there, a lot out there. Okay, so anybody else? Okay, I don't know who is first.
So you have done a mix of some secular projects and faith-based projects. I'm curious, how do you decide, for example, which secular projects to take?
When I decided to focus on faith-based films, I started thinking about what am I doing? What am I doing? How is this helping my path? So I stepped back and decided I wanted to be a part of projects that I could watch with my family. We have to be careful what we're a part of, what we're supporting, what our name is on. So when I did that, then I started working on the Goldbergs and school projects like that. And then I've been able to just be really honest with these secular projects and say, hey, I can come and help you, but if I have my faith-based movie comes up, I have to leave. And it has been such an incredible journey because God works it out. You just lay it out, like honest, and then God works it out. I was up to work on Obi-Wan Kenobi. Great, right? Fabulous. They kept pushing it, and then finally, I got the dates for my faith-based movie, and then they called me, and they were like, can you come and work? And I said, I can give you a month because I have this commitment. And they were like, okay, come work a month, and I about passed out. I was like, no way, no way. And I had, during COVID, the last 3 years, I had that happen so many times I can't even tell you. I tell them I can only give you this, they say okay, and then I go to do my faith-based. My priority is faith-based films, but I've been blessed with work along the way. And it's just, I work until I need to go, work until I need to go, but I've tried to make better choices. And I need to know what the script is about, if I agree with it, if it completely goes against, and I definitely do not do things that involve evil. And of course, I'm not up to do anything that really involves nudity. But you need to be solid. You need to know where your lines are before you get started, because that'll be tested as well. Anyway.
You answered like half my question.
Okay.
As you're getting a project from a secular source, what kind of information is available to you? Like you mentioned, you can see the script. I know there's like different levels of confidentiality and stuff that's released, but how do you determine ahead of time? How do you see if the project's something that you're going to disagree with? What does that process look like for you? And have you ever been on a project where you got it too late after you'd already been part of it for a little while, that was going in a direction that you didn't want to kind of change that?
Okay, so your question is, how do you figure out what the project's about and if you should take it, right? And has that gone wrong? Yes, I'll start there. That has gone very wrong for me a few times. So it's best if you can't get a hold of a script because you're not signed on. And sometimes the lower down you are on the list, you're not going to get a script until you start. So whoever is your direct supervisor, you can ask, what is the premise? What is it about? What is it dealing with? And you can also say, well, I just want you to know I am not comfortable doing anything that has to do with nudity or this or that. So it's